We are going to discuss topic 2, and I'm Ricky.
I'm Taomi.
And I'm Kaj.
Okay, so what is globalization? Globalization refers to the process where the world is increasingly associated as a result of a huge increase in trade and culture exchange through political, economical, technological, and ecological and other increases. It is important when understanding globalization to realize it is a process and not a condition. For example, we can buy products produced in other countries, or we can talk to a person from another city than ourselves or on the other side of the world because of the global technology. Before we were not able to do that. The world and the term globalization are currently developing and moving forward with new types of technology, for instance. Generally, we can divide globalizations into 3 areas: cultural, political, and economical. For example, the cultural aspects could be clothes or language. We all are speaking different language from different countries, and we also, but now since the globalization is so big, we have English as a common language, and most of the countries also have this as a second language. We also dress differently. We dress more for our class and to present our personalities as an individual, not only representing our culture. Political globalization could be that countries come together and form rules that are global for every country. Such an organization could be NATO, EU, or UN. The political aspects also reflects on everything in terms of how the market and trade should work, for instance. Economic globalization is about having economic parts of players, both states and business, are intertwined in common systems. For example, countries as economic impact on each other. A rich country could be negatively affected if another country gets poorer or has an economic fall. For instance, the economic fall that Greece had some couple of years ago.
So, what is cultural convergence? Let's begin by defining the term culture. Culture is a system of values and norms that are shared among a group of people and constitute a design for living when they are taken together. An example of a value would be the American work ethic, so in which they all believe in and respect hardworking individuals, which in turn motivates each other, like as a nation. An example of a norm would be actions, for example, like shaking hands to greet somebody, or maybe saying bless you when someone sneezes. So what exactly does cultural convergence mean? Well, cultural convergence is the theory that 2 cultures will be more and more like each other as their interactions increase. So this means that the more cultures interact with one another, the more their values, norms and beliefs, etc. will then begin to mirror each other. A good example of this would be America and Japan. So America and Japan are frequently in communication via social media, and their Japanese cartoon has become increasingly popular in the USA, despite being completely in Japanese with no English. But there's English subtitles. McDonald's as well was also a good example. That's become increasingly popular all over the world, but originally started in America. And countries like India have many stores but have incorporated their own cultural food with it. So for example, they have curry pan. So they're still using the McDonald's style, the American style, however incorporating their own culture into it as well.
Okay, so what are the consequences of cultural convergence? There are both positive and negative consequences in relation to cultural convergence. Firstly, a positive consequence is that it brings the world together by integrating the knowledge of one country's skills and techniques into another country, and this is done through the digitalization of media. This has helped the world move forward and become more integrated and modernized. It has allowed countries to learn new information and skills which they were not aware of from like the previous years. A negative consequence, however, is that it creates a loss of control in other countries because of the overlapping of ideas. So alongside this, globalization has led to products being spread very rapidly through like newspapers, the television, the internet, and so on. Therefore, technology has made nations know that about other cultures in regards of their ways in which has helped them aid to adopt certain styles. If they like something in one country, then they will adopt that style in another country. Therefore, technology has made a bigger impact in countries nowadays. Furthermore, in this era, globalization and technology and its products has a major impact on cultures. Previously, people used to go to the cinemas, but nowadays people can actually access movies online, like via streaming or watching on applications such as Netflix or Amazon Prime. And according to Campbell, media convergence has drastically changed our lives in many ways. Media is a kind of emerging sort of technique that now countries are using, such as social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or finding out information. Another example is Nokia, who have teamed up with Microsoft to kind of strategically alliance a product which has now been sold in more than one country. And additionally, the ongoing global culture is spreading Americanization. So the example of McDonald's has become known in like all over the world globally. Other examples can be Hershey's, Mars, Starbucks, and their markets have gone into more than 80 different countries, which shows that there is a lot of convergence all over the world. And finally, another prime example is the English language, which has become culturally converged on a global scale. Moreover, another example is gaming, in the gaming industry. So games such as FIFA or like Grand Theft Auto has become a negative consequence in regards to the violent games, which kind of creates a bad image and a sort of violent image in like young teenagers' minds, which is also a negative consequence.
As a company expands, they can begin to trade in foreign countries. This would lead to them having to think about the cultural standards of these countries. This can include business hours, working conditions, pay, and how employees are treated. Due to this trading taking place, employees would have to travel to set up business connections. This can be a place where passing on of cultural knowledge can happen. Technology is beginning to be shared all over the world, which in turn can make it easier for business associates to communicate with each other. Technology can also be seen to make people's lives easier, such as being able to order medical supplies when needed. As Pagel 2014 states, papyrus scrolls, books, and the internet allow us to even more effectively share knowledge with successive generations, which shows that globalization is saving information that we could have lost due to history. A business sector that can be associated with cultural convergence is the restaurant industry. People in the United Kingdom are willing to try different foods when there's a restaurant that serves it. The preparation of certain foods can be linked to the religion of a country it comes from. Better Health 2011 explains an example of this fact, that Mormons are not allowed to drink alcohol or caffeinated beverages. A restaurant would need to also think about how food is served if they really wanted to stay true to the culture. Globalizations for smaller companies can be difficult. As Crash Course 2012 explains, the cost is roughly $3 in the US for all of the shipping of a collection of blank t-shirts. This shows that globalization can be easier for larger companies, so it is becoming more popular because people are aware of this. The way that t-shirt would be made would have to abide by the rules of all the companies and cultures involved in the production process. Within all these examples, businesses have to think about how their actions would affect others. An arrangement needs to be met if two cultures conflict each other, which is an example of cultural convergence. Away from a business perspective, many students are beginning to travel abroad to gain a better understanding of cultures that are different from their own. People are also beginning to take trips abroad to help teach English to young children. The passing of the English language is seen as one of the prime examples of cultural convergence.